Welcome to another edition of the ROTL UK podcast, episode 381. I would do anything for love, but I won't do Dak. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick and Ashley Soden. How you doing, boys?
Doing good. Bit tired from all the work I've been doing, but same time, hopefully there's some more tired people in Allen Park right now because, boy, from what has happened since the last time I was properly on, it has really gone down the shitter, eh?
Still in a bad mood. And that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, not much has changed.
We are disgruntled Lions fans, and we know it. Hey, you lose to the Packers, you get swept for the first time in God knows how long. The feeling lingers for a while, and things might be about to be made even worse with the Cowboys coming to town this Thursday night. We're going to be previewing that game today, but we are going to be going through the news first. And before all of that, please do join our Discord channel. It'd be great to see you in there. We talk Lions all year long, NFL draft, as well as all the other sports. Hey, at least Detroit are good at something right now. Baseball went relatively well this year, and basketball seems to be going even better. And we'll talk about life in general and whatever. If you want to find a really wholesome community, the link is in the live chat right now. And it's in the podcast description too. College Football Podcast, Dan. Safe to say, the last game of the regular season has happened, and it's all going off.
Yeah, head coach in Carousel's gone crazy, so hopefully it'll have calmed down a bit by the time we get the show going. But yeah, a lot of hirings, some good, some bad, some in the middle. So yeah, we've got a lot to go through, and of course, it's championship game week, and the playoffs are about to be announced. So yeah, we got a lot to dig our teeth into.
We stand for Vandy. I'm just saying it now. If they don't get into the playoffs, we fucking riot.
Prepare to be very disappointed then.
Yeah, well, Ash knows all about that after getting shafted a couple of years ago.
That's a bit mean. That's a bit mean. Wow. Never seen anyone be that mean to Ash.
It's taken like 2 minutes, so we've already got the shots to fire.
Yeah, I know, but it didn't even come from Andy.
The only shots I wish it were fired right now are the ones to get Mike Norvell out of here. But hey ho, to bury the lead for.
Are you calling for an assassination on live TV? TV live on the air? Is that what we're talking about?
No, just get him out because
pink slip.
Yeah, pink slip him. Yeah,
there we go. That's
get
better.
rid of him.
Yeah, do check out the College Football Podcast coming up later on this week to discuss all of the goings-on in college football, including new head coach for Michigan State. If you're thinking about in-state stuff, there's lots going on right now. Please do like this episode, sub to the podcast. You guys know what to do. You know how much it means to us in terms of spreading the word. And we get straight on with this with some roster news for the Lions. Lots of comings and goings this week. Release from the practice squad, no longer with the team. Cornerback Trey Flowers and offensive lineman Natane Muti signed to the practice squad in their place. Wide receiver Andrew Armstrong in the last half an hour or so played with Tesla at Arkansas.
Yep.
Cute. I wasn't sure of that. Tight end Giovanni Ricci and Richie, thank you. I don't know how to say the Italian double C. And running back Jabari Small waived from the main roster cornerback Arthur Millette, and then designated for return from injury reserve. The practice window has been opened for the tight end Shane Zylstra. He will have 21 days from today to be activated. Some positive news on the tight end front, especially because Dan Campbell has called tight end Brock Wright's injury a trachea injury rather than a throat injury. Said it could be a long-term injury, and it's actually relatively similar to when Frank Ragnow fractured his throat about 4 years ago and played through that, mind you. But maybe asking someone to be as much of a warrior as Ragnow was for us over the years is perhaps not fair. Talking of Frank, it did become clear that he has a grade 3 hamstring strain, which means he will not be playing in 2025. And it's unclear if he's actually going to try and make his return from retirement at all. When asked about this, Dan Campbell said basically there's been no conversation on that point. Last bit of news. Kirby Joseph did actually return to practice today with a notable limp, but he did look explosive in some plays when he needed to. But a worry for him mentally on Instagram yesterday or today, I can't remember, I think it was today, he posted, "God help me," a black background with white letters, before deleting Instagram and X. There are rumours that his injury could be long-term and or career-threatening, with the good doctor from the Detroit Lions podcast speculating that this could be an injury which is, degenerative and can cause, bad arthritis and that sort of thing. Boys, there's lots of news, and apart from some of the roster moves, it's all bad, which is not exactly helping our mood after Thanksgiving. After all of this, though, I guess the Frank and the Kirby news is the stuff that's saddest. We've just paid Kirby for all intents and purposes, and, we need him, but, as a man, it's just incredibly sad to see, especially to see him kind of reach out into the world, into the void like that. Especially with how Lions fans seem to keep at him and at him and at him. When are you coming back? It must be horrible as an injured player, especially when it's one that you may not recover from. And then with Frank, it's just the worst, isn't it?
Yeah. I have 5 Lions jerseys. This news we just discussed concerns 2 of them. Because obviously, I have a Kirby Joseph jersey. Everyone knows that. But yeah, one of the old style jerseys I have is Frank's. I had it all set out for me Friday, but then when I came back from work and all that, I just couldn't be on, unfortunately. But yeah, it sucks. Especially since grade 3, that's a complete tear. Just shows, again, we were just saying with the Brock Wright injury that is similar to what Ragnar had and Frank played for it. Frank's pain tolerance must be so off the charts. Like, he must be able to reach inside an oven to get his pizza out and not need an oven glove. He can just reach in, grab it off the grill, and just put it on his plate. Like, this dude is an absolute fucking warrior, and I really do hope that if he comes back for 2026, that it's the right thing for him. It's not going to cause him even more damage, because that's the reason he retired in the first place, was because he was hanging on that precipice between, considering and earning a lot of money, but also really affecting his long-term health. So as much as we need him, potentially, needs to make the right decision for him. And sad that we're not going to have him the rest of this season, because he could have been really helpful for a playoff push, but alas, it is what it is. God damn it. I lose one battle with the roster and then continues on, because everyone knows my vendetta against Zane Shilstra. And yet he's seemingly coming back, and he might actually be the savior for us fronts, which is concerning for me. And then I lose 2 of my favorite practice squad players in Trey Flowers and Tame Muti. Like, this week has just been horrific in roster news for me. So hopefully things turn around.
Welcome to the Trey Flowers train. Glad you're with us.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of news, and it's all shit.
Yeah, I mean, most of that roster stuff means absolutely nothing. They're just practice squadders coming in and out. Shane Zylstra is not coming to save his season, by the way. The kid has played less than 120 snaps since 2022. He is not going to magically come in and turn your franchise around. At best, you've got a little bit of depth. Dwelly's played a lot more. Hell, Ferks has probably even played more, so that means nothing at all. Obviously, the big ones are just, having Frank back and then not having Frank back. It's you've had something given to you, which is, it's like, you're in a bad mood and you're feeling sad, and then you're given a toy, and you start playing with the toy and it makes you feel happy again, and then someone just comes along and goes, "You happy yet?" And you go, "I think I'm happy now, Dad." And then he just strips it away from you and goes, "Well, good, you ain't having it no more." And then you start crying again. It's mean. It's pure meanness, and it would have solved so many issues for us if he was able to get back. And now he's not, and it's just made the season even a little bit more harder as more people start to drop, the team starts to get weaker, and it's just a bad news piling on top of bad news. And then obviously Kirby stuff. We know Kirby stuff's serious. Like, for the sheer amount of time he's been out. Like, in an ideal world where you've not got 1 billion players on IR already, you'd have put him on IR, because he's clearly just not been healthy, and he was never going to come back after a month. And now you're hearing it's knees, specifically cartilage stuff that doesn't regrow. We've seen with Todd Gurley, guys like this, it just destroys your career. The fact that he's just not really been doing anything at all, and it's good. People said he's at practice today, but people have also said he's sporting one of the biggest braces you've seen, and he's hobbling around the field. If the dude can't even do a basic practice without hobbling around, how the hell do you think he's going to play in an NFL game anytime soon? He's not. Not with a brace on. I am of the opinion now, and I have nothing to back this up. I purely think they're keeping him around this roster right now, just in case they get to the playoffs and just in case they need him, and maybe they feel good about risking him for a game or two in the playoffs, like when he came back from his injury initially and they played him a bit and then he went out again because he just clearly wasn't right. It feels like they've got him as some kind of reserve backup for when the big games come. And I fully expect if the Lions season ends like before week 18 and we're out the playoffs, we lose another one or two, they'll stick him on IR right away. He won't come back if the games start to mean nothing because I think the injury's that bad. And if it's going to be the same going forward, then you've got to make a decision on him quick. If you think this is going to be long-term debilitating with that contract, it sucks to say, but you're going to have to consider the possibility of cutting him now and eating shit while you can and moving on because it's you just don't know really, do you? But his cap at what he's earning, we can't afford to carry him as a part-time player because his knee won't allow him to. So hopefully you think it's all overblown and that, but obviously it's not promising. So yeah, it's just been a shite week really. Nothing's gone right whatsoever, and it just keeps you in a foul mood.
Yeah, so for next year, it's the last of his guaranteed salary on the new deal. His option bonuses start to kick in from this year. So there's an option bonus of 7.8 million. No, that's not true. 9.6 million, which is going to become active then. If you don't do that, he's on the hook for 11.5 million of guaranteed salary. So you're going to have to pay him out that. So you're going to lose $11.5 million against the cap, which sucks, but that is what it is. Unfortunately, of course, maybe you could do it post June 1. You still end up losing $7.7 million. I'm not talking dead cap, I'm talking money on top of what is already the dead cap. So Lions are not in a good space for cutting him in 2026. 2027 is a possibility. You gain $3 million back doing it then. So considering maybe in early days here, I think you probably carry him for 1 year just because there's no point in losing cap over trying to get rid of him, even if that's a possibility. It just sucks, though. I think we're in wait and see mode at the moment to give him an off season, see what he wants to do. Frankly, if it is as bad as is rumoured and he's in pain and he can't wander around, he's going to have to retire medically. So I don't think you have to broach the idea of cutting him, frankly, because he's going to do the right thing for himself, and that'll probably align with what's best for the team in this situation, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks. Frank, me, and Ant kind of talked about briefly at the end of the last show, so that is one of those things. Brock is a shame because it looked like he started in the one game where he was the lead tight end to actually play better, be a feature guy. Then he had the injury happen mid-game, played through it, but kind of went off the board. He wasn't featured after that play, really. He had the opportunity to turn his season around because it hasn't been good, and that's been taken from him. And you're right, Zylstra's not saving our season. Frankly, if his practice window's being open now, we could be out of the playoffs by the time he's activated, if everything goes badly. So, and that is what we're going to talk about now. We've got Dallas coming up this Thursday, and like Dallas's game last week against the Chiefs, both teams have massive implications on the line. The Lions at the moment are about 30% to make the postseason, just about that, maybe a little bit more, maybe 31, 32%. The Cowboys are around 15 to 20%, I think. If they lose, they're on the brink of being out. I think they'd have to run the table and have help. Detroit still have it in their hands. If they run the table from here, they're in. And if they go 4-1, I think they're 100% in at 4-1, no matter who they lose against. But it does mean if you lose to Dallas, you then have to run the table. So, for both teams, pretty much everything is on the brink for this game. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys. They're 6-5-1 after a pretty torrid start to the year with one of the league's worst defenses. Their expected wins is 6.2, so at 6-5-1, they're about where they should be in terms of wins. They started off the season with a loss to Philly, a win in overtime against the Giants, a loss to Chicago, and a tie against Green Bay, before a win at the Jets, a loss at Carolina, wins against the Washington Commanders, and a loss at the Denver Broncos versus the Arizona Cardinals. But then their bye happened and the trade deadline, and wins then happened at Vegas versus the Eagles and versus Kansas City. We'll talk about the trade deadline in just a moment. The betting for this game, Dallas at 29-20, that's plus 145. The Lions are favoured at 17-10 on, that's minus 170. The Lions are 3-point favourites on the spread. The over-under is 53.5 points. So the betting market's expecting an offensively minded game here. One of the highest spreads I've seen over-unders I've seen in some time. No official injury report out yet, but not practicing today for the Lions, Amon Russell Brown and Khalif Raymond, tight end Brock Wright, cornerback Terrion Arnold, but centre Graham Glasgow and Kirby Joseph safety did return. We haven't heard anything from Dallas as yet. On injury reserve for them, running back Phil Maffer, Miles Sanders, guard Trevor Keegan, guard Rob Jones, tackle Ajani Cornelius, defensive end Peyton Turner, and linebacker Jack Sanborn. On injury reserve but designated for return, practice window has been opened for defensive tackle Perry and Winfrey, and then yesterday it was opened for the cornerback Trayvon Diggs. On the PUP is cornerback Josh Butler, and on NFI the safety Wanye Thomas. I'll go into the depth chart in just a moment, but I will highlight their trades. At the deadline, they traded for one big name player in defensive tackle Quinnen Williams from the Jets. They traded for him for defensive tackle Mazzie Smith, a 2026 2 and a 2027 1, so a hefty price to pay for Quinnen, but he has totally transformed what that defense has become. They also traded for the linebacker Logan Wilson from the Bengals for a 2026 7th. He had fallen out of favour there and was no longer a starter despite being one of their better linebackers. They just wanted him off the books and wanted to go younger because it looked like their season was done. They, of course, did have the blockbuster trade in the offseason, trading Micah Parsons away for multiple first-round picks and Kenny Clark. So, of course, they've now managed to combine Kenny Clark with Quinnen Williams. Boys, before we go into their depth chart, this is a team which could have a tale of two halves of the season. Ash, this offense had been firing all season. Frankly, that has not been their problem. Their defense has been porous and pretty terrible all year. Enter Quinnen Williams, and suddenly they are right up there with some of the league's best defenses. This is a great example of a high-risk trade, which looks like it's paid off, at least early on.
Yeah, definitely, though. I will also put in I know you mentioned, obviously, Logan Wilson trade. That also really helped things for them, I think, because we've got to remember this. Their defensive coordinator, maybe to Beverly for later, is former Bears head coach Matt Beat of Eberflus. And what does he love? Linebackers. And now he's got a damn good set of them. Trading for Logan Wilson, I think they got Overshawn off IR around the same time as well. So suddenly he has a group of 3, maybe 4 linebackers if you put Shamar James, who they drafted in the 5th this year, into the rotation there. And suddenly he can start doing some of the things he likes to do with linebackers. We saw with the Bears past couple of years where he had Sanborn playing well and they drafted Noah Sewell and he had a role, especially last year as a run stopper. He's finally able to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, suddenly beefing up that interior, because that's always been Dallas's problem for a while now. It has been defending the run. That's why they initially drafted Mazzie Smith in the first round as a nose tackle. He hasn't really worked out, so they get Kenny Clark as sort of afterthought in the Parsons trade, much like Goff was supposedly an afterthought in the Stafford trade. Bring him in, they bring in Quinnen to be that pass rusher on the interior. And suddenly, yeah, it really picks up their defense. And the thing is, they kind of prepared for the worst when they traded away Parsons by drafting, I mean, Ant absolutely loved him in the draft, but Donovan Ziriaku out of Boston College, someone who really should have been in play for us in 28, but we passed him over for Tyler Williams, not bemoaning that decision, just something that happened. But he's been pretty damn good for their defensive line, especially in his increased snaps over the past few months. Has started on, who's a rotational player behind Dante Fowler Jr. Started working him in, and now he's a starter for them, and he's hit the ground running for them. They've got Siobhan Ravel Jr., who they've activated off injury reserve a couple of weeks ago, the sensation out of ECU. Him coming back, sort of giving him a bit more actual consistent coverage on the back end, because it's always kind of been the meme with the Cowboys cornerbacks, especially Bland and Diggs, that they can get a load of interceptions with the zone they play, but they also give up a hell of a lot of yards. Ravel actually covers and doesn't give up yards, so that helps out their back end. They just had a load of things over the past couple of weeks, sort of all knock-on effects of the trades, getting people back from injury reserve, and some of their rookies finally come to the fore. And yet it's turned this defense from what was looking pretty damn bad to, you know what, this is actually a respectable defense to actually doing stuff. And while it's taken a while for their rankings to rise up, the stats are still pretty damn bad, because, you know, it's hard to overcome 11 weeks of bad play with only 3 weeks of good play. But slowly but surely they're rising up the rankings. And that means, a couple of weeks ago, you looked at this defense, you're like, this would be a great bounce back game for us. They don't really pose a threat, so we can right some of the wrongs that we have on offense and get back to our great ways, kind of like we did against the Commanders. And now you look at them and you're like, they've got a damn good interior. That's where we're recovering on the offensive line. We know what Eberflus likes to do with his linebackers. They've always seemingly picked off Goff once or twice a year, so that's going to be fun with Overshawn, who's a damn good coverage linebacker, doing that. And then on the back end, they're not exactly sieves anymore, so we constantly expect JMO to go for 115 2 touchdowns. This defense actually might put up a bit of a fight against us, and that's not good for us.
And going up against this team about 6-7 weeks ago, I think might have been overlooked by Lions fans as a walkover, easy. We were maybe in the peak of our powers at that time. Since then, everything has gone wrong for us. Everything seems to be going right for them. It might be too late for them. They might have to run the table just to get in. But this feels like a bad time to face this team for a team like us.
Yeah, if you listed all the opponents you've got left on your schedule and you got to pick who you played this week, I think Dallas would be at the very bottom of that list, even more so than the Rams, because the Dallas is dangerous because they've hit form now. They've just knocked off both teams who went to the Super Bowl last year. And you know, they're looking better and better and better as the season's gone on. And actually, you look at what they've done with the team, and it's incredibly smart how they've built their roster up and what they've done with it. Obviously, the Parsons trade over the summer, everyone goes, "Oh, they're blowing it up," but what have they actually done? You know, they've balanced that team out more. You know, it's all right having a superstar edge, but if it's all about him and what he does, you end up like the Las Vegas Raiders, you know, adrift, shite, no good whatsoever. But Max Crosby looks great every week because it's all focused around him. You get rid of Micah Parsons, you bring in some much needed draft capital, you bring in Kenny Clark first off to shore up your defensive tackle spot. You then add Quinnen Williams into that mix, like what we did last year. We bitched on the Cowboys in AT&T. You ran through them. You know, getting rid of Parsons has actually made that team better because they've invested in their trench, in the interior of that line. It's got depth. It's got a lot of good players in there. And it's stabilized the defense. And now the rest of it's starting to catch up with it. And you're starting to see how good it's getting. You're getting pass rushers emerging out of Parsons' shadow. It's taken time, but eventually they're getting guys who are getting home now. You saw against the Chiefs, they were absolutely fantastic in what they did. Shut the run game down, just destroyed Mahomes completely, something we've not been able to do to a quarterback. And then just otherwise than that, they've just hit on a formula. The Cowboys are home for misfits, and they turn misfits into stars. You know, you look at Javonte Williams is now probably one of the best running backs they've had in forever, a misfit who is now a star. George Pickens, a misfit in Pittsburgh, now a star. They've given CD Lamb a second option there, so it's not just the CD Lamb show anymore. This Cowboys team that was centered around a few impact guys, and if you could keep those impact guys quiet or at least managed, you could easily beat these teams. It's not true anymore. You can't just go after CD because Pickens is going to kill you. Your tight end core is coming to the fore, and it's young. Their offensive line's young as fuck. I don't think there's any guys who are not off their rookie deal on that line. That's gotten better as the season's gone along. You know, it's I think it's just in part a young team which has grown and is getting better, and it's found the right playmakers who've grown and they're getting better, and it's been a process. There's a lot of change on this team, but they've hit their stride now. They've got playmakers all over. They've got a run game which is great for the first time in forever, which is balancing their offense out, and they can defend more against the run now, which is making that defense more dangerous. And it's tough. They're in full playoff mode now. They've got to win every game, as you say. There's no gimmies, there's no off weeks anymore for them. They've got to keep going and going and going, and they're going to look at us, who have not been good for the last 2 months now. We've been inconsistent as anything. We're at home. We're not playing well at home, and they're going to go, there's absolutely no reason we can't go here and beat them and carry on chasing Philly's tail down. Dak is low-key now slinging it all over the show. It's not the team I want to face right now, quite frankly, because they are more than capable of coming in here and whooping on us. And again, just with how inconsistently we've been playing, I don't see where our optics just magically going to come from, which is going to be able to deal with this. So, I'm not looking forward to it at all. Obviously, I hope we win, and I will always maintain the faith we do, but this is the wrong team at the wrong time.
It is amazing how you say they traded away Parsons and right now they're a better team, because I completely agree. The trouble with this team was always that they concentrated too many resources in too few people, and they were talking about how well other players were doing and how on earth are they going to pay them, and the answer was they aren't, and they got rid of the most high-profile one, except for Dak, and arguably Parsons was bigger than Dak in terms of production, name, whatever you want. They get rid of him, and they invest some of that in Quinnen. And after having paid Osa Odigizua, after bringing in Clark, and now bringing in Quinnen, and if you have a look at what they have on the edges, we'll go through the depth chart in a minute, but in terms of having Izaraku as a rookie who's played great, one of the best defensive rookies of the year, I think he should be up there. And then they've got Jadeveon Clowney starting at the other end, who, hasn't lived up to being a number one overall pick, but he's definitely a bona fide first round player who's had a good career and is still doing things. And then behind them, we've got Dante Fowler, who's had a low-key good year, and James Houston, who leads them in sacks as a designated pass rusher, who's done exactly what we saw here when he was put in the right position to actually do bits. So in some ways, they didn't need the guy that created pressure on the edge, but they were kind of lacking that guy in the interior because they couldn't defend the run to save their lives. And suddenly they've got a guy who defends the run on the way to rushing the passer from the interior, and they've already got edge rush pressure, or people who will get home eventually. So it's not like you don't need a Parsons, but they got rid of something which was maybe a luxury, and they plugged their biggest hole with a huge name. Like Quinnen, for ages, was someone that we potentially wanted to bring here. Obviously the Jets have gone nowhere in some time, and this is a merciful way to get him into a better situation. But man, the defense is a totally different beast, and I am high-key dreading this game. Thursday could be really rough. Let's talk about this team in a bit more depth. PFF has them as a joint 10th overall team. Offense, they are 5th. Defense, they are 29th. But of course, like I say, tale of two halves of a season. Special teams is 15th. DVOA overall is 18th. EPA is 17th. Offense is 3rd. Defense is 29th. So the major metrics see these teams in a relatively similar way, but DVOA and EPA has them quite a bit lower than the PFF grades do overall. In terms of offense, I should talk about the bloody depth chart first, shouldn't I? On offense, we start off at quarterback with Dak Prescott. He's backed up by former Patriot Joe Milton. Running back, we've got Javonte Williams, one of my biggest draft crushes over the last few years. Obviously had an injury and flamed out in his initial landing spot, but has came back from injury and he looks fantastic. Got Malik Davis at number 2, who had a 40-odd yard rushing touchdown last week, and the 5th-round rookie Jaden Blue. Fullback, they've got Hunter Lupke. And then wide receiver, they've got George Pickens, who may be the best trade of the lot, potentially. CeeDee Lamb and Ryan Flournoy, backed up by Jonathan Mingo, Jalen Tolbert, and Kevontae Turpin. Tight ends are Jake Ferguson, backed up by Luke Schoonmaker and Brevin Spam-Ford. And then the front 5 are Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, and Terrence Steele, backed up by Nate Thomas, Brock Hoffman, and TJ Bass, and Hakeem Adeniji. On defense, playing a base 4-3, and they do play a good amount of base compared to the rest of the league. Jadeveon Clowney, Osa Odigizua, Quinnen Williams, and Donovan Izaraku, backed up by, in the interior, Kenny Clark, Solomon Thomas, and Jay Toyer, and on the outside by Sam Williams, Dante Fowler, and James Houston. Linebackers, they have DeMarvin Overshone and Kenneth Murray, and Shamar James, backed up by Logan Wilson and Maurice Liufau. Nickelback is Reddy Stewart. Outside corners, Kalen Carson and Deron Bland, backed up by Siobhan Ravel Jr., Trequez Bridges and CJ Goodwin, of course. We know that Trayvon Diggs potentially is on his way back. They are apparently hopeful he is going to play on Thursday, despite only practicing for 2 fucking days. It would be a remarkable return if he could get back. The safeties, Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker, backed up by Marquise Bell and Elijah Clark. And then the special teams, the specialists, may be some of the best in the NFL, with punter Brian Anger and kicker Brandon Aubrey, with the long snapper Trent Sieg. I'll talk about the offensive stats and then I'll hand over before talking about defense. Quarterback Dak Prescott has 303 completions out of 437 attempts for 69.3% completion rate, 3,261 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a passer rating of 102.4, a QBR of 75.6, and a PFF grade of 88.2. He leads the league in these 3 stats: completions, yards, and quarterback rating, which is, generally speaking, not things that you see very often. Those that normally lead the league in completions have a lower QBR, because the more you throw, the more likely it is you have a mistake. The fact that he is leading the league in both completions and QBR is remarkable and noteworthy. Dak is having one of his best seasons as a starter. Running back Javonte Williams, statistically I should say, Javonte Williams, 198 carries for 955 yards. He should go over 1,000 yards in this coming game. 4.8 yards a carry and 8 touchdowns on the ground, and he's also got 31 of 42 for 128 and 2 touchdowns through the air. That is only 4 yards per catch, mind you. PFF grade of 73.9. George Pickens is the leading receiver. 73 catches on 105 targets, 1,142 yards. That's 15.6 yards per catch and 8 touchdowns, PFF grade of 89.8. And then the leading tight end, Jake Ferguson, 70 for 83, 496, 7.1 yards per catch, 7 touchdowns for Jake Ferguson, a PFF grade of 59.1. Other good grades in there, the wide receiver CeeDee Lamb is a 76. Guard Tyler Booker in his first season is a 72. And Cooper Beebe, who was a mid-round pick a couple of years ago, who actually had an injury in his rookie season, has come back to log a 69 grade, which at centre is excellent work. So that line doing bits as well as the guys on the outside. No bad grades on this offense for people taking significant reps. This team is 4th on 3rd down. Actually, it has updated, since games when I prepared before. 5th on 3rd down, 19th on 4th down, 13th in the red zone, and of course throwing as much as they have. They've had plenty of trips, so they have converted pretty well. They have the top 2 wide receivers in defensive pass interference yards received. Pickens with 120 and CeeDee Lamb with 114, highlighting that Dak doesn't worry about throwing into 50-50s, trusts that his guys are going to go and get it or draw a foul, and they've both been very, very good at that as physical receivers. And to come to you first, this offense, I know we think that Dak is a stat padding regular season merchant who lacks a backbone, but we are in the regular season, and he is statistically very, very good right now. And I mean, you have a look at what he did against the Chiefs. Apart from that one throw in the first drive for the pick, looked measured, threw the ball in rhythm and time. Seems like he's on the same page with all of his receivers, got command of that offense. And when your running back is giving you time and giving you production, when you've got people on the outside like Pickens and Lamb and Ferguson, and then your offensive line is giving you time, it must be an absolute joy to quarterback this team at the moment.
He's what Goff is to us. You give him a run game, you give him protection, he'll give you production, and he'll run a very competent offense, and that's what he's doing right now. This is probably the first time since they had a healthy, um, since they had a healthy Zeke, God knows how many years ago, that they've given him something resembling a competent run game. It's always kind of been Dak throwing it 40 times a game, and that's kind of been the thing with it. So it's very balanced. Now when you come to think of it, compared to recent years, if you'd have done the whole, rushing to passing thing, it'd have been all over the place. But 1,500 yards on the ground this year. You mix that with 3,300 in the air. There's still a lot of passing, but they've got a near 1,000-yard rusher with them now. It just allows those sticks to move a little better, and they've got weapons all over the field to go on with now. And they've said they've got a young offensive line, which is maturing and looking better. And, the Lions have not been good against these teams. Third in offensive DVOA. We're 0-4 against teams with top 10 DVOA on offense. We don't like offenses that are metrically very good and at what they do. These are the teams we struggle against the most, and we are not creating pressure at all on our defense, on opposing quarterbacks. And if you give Dak time to throw and you give him time to get comfortable in a game, he'll hurt you. You thought the Chiefs might have found the Chiefs forced a mistake out of him early, but they didn't keep doing that. They didn't keep on him, couldn't keep his run game in check, and they allowed him to settle into the game. And then that was all she wrote, no matter how hard they tried. So it's very good. You've got 2 star wide receivers. You got a star running back. You got a good level quarterback. Star statistically on the offensive line, but it's a good starting 5. And unfortunately, we are not good at rushing the passer right now. So, it doesn't stack up very well because our entire defense is falling to pieces because we can't get pressure. And, this is going to be a very physical game. They've got 2 receivers who they are not afraid to go up there and get the football in these contested catch situations. And, it's going to be tough. You guys have got to be ready. It's just a nightmare matchup, really, in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, offensively, it's not going to be one you'll look forward to at all. And again, it's just they've got a point to prove, and people are forgetting what we did to them last year. Cowboys fans will. How many times have we as Lions fans of our players remembered an absolute shellacking they got and went and on the next attempt there they remembered and they paid it off in kind. We embarrassed them last time, so they have a huge point to prove coming here because we made them look stupid in their own home. So this offense is going to be really, really tough, and they're going to have to come up with something special to keep it quiet.
What do you think about this offense? It's despite what the defense has been doing, it's been up there all season.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you get McCarthy as your head coach, isn't it? Because suddenly this offense that did look kind of met by her last year with a couple of additions that kind of went under the radar, at least initially, maybe not the Pickens one, but you're adding Williams and that. Suddenly it explodes again because Dak is very much like Goff, probably got a bit more the plaudits that he shouldn't have done when things were dire, when he's having to throw it 50 times. But same time, right now, maybe he's not getting the plaudits he does deserve because people are focused on what Pickens is doing. The amount of times I see the stat now that, Pickens has got more receiving yards than all the Steelers wide receivers this year combined and all this. Dak's kind of going under the radar with what he's doing, especially since, you've got a run game for him. I know, I hate Dak as well. Go. But they still rank really well in pass rate over expected, according to the stuff I have. So they still pass the ball just about a percentage more than they should do, which is ninth most in the NFL. So while, they've got the run game, they're still not just turning away from Dak after they've paid him and going away from what has worked for them the past couple of years with under Schottenheimer. And it is working because They're 7th in success rate, 7th in EPA for rush, 6th in EPA per drop back, 12th in explosive play rate. They're just like us in the scheme. They use a lot of play action and they get a lot of EPA in it. They're 4th highest in EPA per play in play action when they use it. They're 8th in EPA per play when they use motion. They're good against one high, but to bury the lead for later. That means we need to, again, change up our defensive scheme on the back end, as I've been calling for the past couple of weeks, because we play too much one high right now, especially with Kirby out. We need to mix things up because, going up against an offense that's 3rd in EPA per play against one high, that's going to hurt us. They're 9th when in EPA per play when they get blitzed. That's what we seemingly need to do right now to get pressure. There's all these stats that you just look at, and it's just stuff that matches up so well against us. 6th in EPA in deep plays, 2nd in EPA on intermediate throws, 3rd in runs against light boxes, which we don't do, but let's say we do have to do some stuff to try and get more pass rush. They're going to just run the ball with Javonte and absolutely tear us apart. It's going to be a tough matchup, and I know Shep has said that they need to change some things up schematically. This is the time to do it. We need to change up what we do on the back end, use more 2-high looks, because otherwise they're going to tear us apart. And we need to do some stuff to mix it up, to get pressure and to get Dak off platform, because then we can maybe force some turnovers, because otherwise we just let him stand and deliver like we did with Winston, like we did with Love. He's got 2 damn good receivers who can absolutely tear us apart, and a really damn good tight end who can get open against the holes in the middle of zones in the middle of the field and catch the ball there. Like, we have got to play our A game against this offense, and what we've seen the past couple of weeks, maybe we can, but it's limiting those explosives, because Pickens is the kind of receiver that, can get a 15-yard comeback and turn it into a 70-yard touchdown if he wants to.
Turning to the defense, leading defensive tackle so far this season for them has been Osa Odigizua. 3 sacks, 34 tackles, 5 TFLs, 17 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 69.6. Of course, they've got quite a lot on that defensive tackle line now as well. Leading edge players now Jadeveon Clowney. 3 passes defended and a fumble recovery, 4 sacks, 27 tackles, 5 TFLs, 4 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 72. The leading linebacker statistically in terms of tackles, is Kenneth Murray. 2 passes defended and a fumble recovery, a sack, 70 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 39. Yikes. Leading corner is Deron Bland. He's got a pick for a pick 6. He's got 5 passes defended, 62 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a PFF grade of 69. And then the leading safety, Donovan Wilson, 2 picks, 4 passes defended, 4 fumble, 49 tackles, PFF grade of 52. Other good grades in there. Edge rookie Donovan Izraku's 81.2. Quinnen Williams now come in his Dallas career so far has posted a 77 grade. And then the designated pass rusher James Houston has a 70 on the season. There are some worse grades in there for people taking significant reps. The backup edge Sam Williams is a 53. Rookie corner Siobhan Revell Jr. is a 51. The tradee linebacker Logan Wilson is a 51. Safety Marquise Bell's a 46. And rookie Shermar James, the linebacker, is a 41. This is how bad they have been and why the narrative is so different. On 3rd down, this team is worst in the NFL. They allow conversions 48% of the time. On 4th down, they're 19th. And in the red zone, they are 30th, allowing touchdowns on 71% of their trips. And there have been a lot of trips. This team couldn't stop anything until the changes they've made. And that makes it damn clear. In terms of their tendencies, they blitz 27% of the time. That's 12th. The light box rate is 46%, which is 15th highest. Heavy box rate, 25%, which is 16th highest. So very middle of the road when it comes to light and heavy boxes. But they do blitz quite a lot. Sub-package rate, 66%, is only 22nd highest. So they play 34% base or there, or that. 34% base or hybrid systems. Their man rate is only 14%, which is 29th in the NFL. So they play a heck of a lot of zone and hybrid coverage schemes. And then pressure rate, blitz 12th most, but they get the 5th most pressure, 40%. And that is despite all of their problems all year this team has consistently got pressure all season. So they're going to be coming for Jared Goff. Better expect it. However, this is how teams beat them. Yards before contact per rush, 1.6 yards. That's 27th in the NFL. They do not get to the running backs particularly quickly, or they didn't until Quinnen came along. Of course, that's changed slightly since then. Let's go to Ash first this time. Defensively, like we said, tale of two halves of the season where they were really struggling against the run. They had a big gap at defensive tackle, which Mazzy Smith just couldn't fill. And that was really exposing Kenneth Murray at the mic, who is just not the best at that. With Quinnen in, Murray can now do what he does best, which is coverage, leading the defense, but not being that guy that has to kind of fill gaps because the defensive tackle doesn't know where he's at. And behind all of that is a defense which looks more cohesive because it's getting pressure and because it's a little bit more stout against the run. It's just overall giving a bit more problems. What it is doing, therefore, because there's a bit more confidence in there, the coverage is maybe standing up a bit more. Quite a few of the sacks against Kansas City, and we'll get there in a minute, were coverage sacks because things were going so well back there. And, you know, Kansas City have some pretty fast players out there, playing zone intelligently, fast to react to the ball, pretty aggressive coming downhill. They've got the weapons now. They've got kind of the ammunition that they kind of need to run the defense all along. They tried to run it without the men before, and it kind of just didn't work, but they kind of put the puzzle pieces together now. You are on mute, sir.
God damn it. Yeah, they have done, though I'm probably going to still want to answer points because it's something he said about us as well. While they rank pretty high in pressure rates, even when they were bad, they ranked high. It's the same situation as us where it's all well and good ranking high in pressure rate if you're not really affecting the QB. So they've only had 25 sacks up until this point, which is not ranked that highly. I believe it's about middle of the pack. It's just below middle of the pack. Like we've had more than that, but they before the past couple of weeks where they added Quinnen in the middle, is Zubarak who really took off. They were getting all these pressures, these hurries, these QB hits, but he wasn't really affecting the back end that much. Like QBs could still get the ball off. Now starting to get home, they're starting to get those sacks, and it is helping the coverage on the back end, which is always good. So it's all well and good me saying, "Oh, let's not let them get that." But when we potentially playing with a banged up Graham at centre, when Arashika, I know some places had him as one of the best guards in the NFL a couple of weeks ago when he gave up 2 sacks quite legitimately, and then Tate's definitely bouncing back. Though I do agree that he needs to bring the mullet back. He has lost a bit of his aura by getting rid of that. Quinnen and Kenny Clark especially Kenny Clark, because he's played against his team so many times, he knows what we're like. They're potentially going to eat, and they're going to get pressure in Goff's face, and we're going to see some of the stuff that we've seen come back the past couple of weeks where Goff gets rattled under the pressure. He starts stepping up into further pressure from where the tackles are defending. He steps up into them, and suddenly the edge rusher can get him down, or he's trying to do a spin move, and it's just causing bad plays. So again, it's something where do we need to keep running back in? Do we need to do I form where we just got an extra blocker back there to pick up any blitzes, to pick up any instant pressure through the middle? Because if we don't, Goff's going to panic, and we're going to have negative plays there. And we said for the Packers game where, run the ball, see if that can help. And the Packers really keyed in on Gibbs. I know this is going way later. This is a game we need Monty to be on his A game, because he's the kind of guy that can run through these arm tackles. He can get the offensive line, can hopefully get him that 1.8 yards before contact. The Monty of last season could then double that, get us 3, get us 4, keep us ahead of the chains on these plays. We need that Monty back, because they will key in on Gibbs. They will see Gibbs on the field, and they will they'll basically bracket coverage him. See, if we have Gibbs on the field and we use that a diversion to get the ball to Dwelly or to whoever's playing tight end, or we get it to Amarai if he plays, or Tesla, JMO, basically use Gibbs as a distraction and kind of take the hit of, okay, they're going to key on him, use that tendency against them, then start build off there, or Monty needs to play his A game because, yeah, if we let Dallas pin their ears back and start blitzing off, start getting the pressure on him, it's going to be a repeat of what we've seen the past couple of weeks, and I don't think I can take that.
What do you make of their defense? Because it's a remarkable kind of Jekyll and Hyde isn't true because they've completely changed, but they're unrecognizable from who they have been.
Yeah, it all starts and ends with the defensive line with them. That's where it all comes from. And, you bring up the stat they're not good against the run yards per carry. Look at the last 3 games. Nobody's rushed on. Even Saquon Barkley, they kept, 7 carries for 20 yards. They've clamped. Nobody's getting any running yards in on them whatsoever. Now that defensive front has started to come and play. And it's making it incredibly difficult for teams to score against them. And conversely, having that happen, giving up less yards against the run, they're averaging 2.5 minutes more time of possession a game. That's a 5-minute switch from your offense and your defense having to be on the field. Like all these, you stop the run, you keep your defense off the field more, your defense is fresher and can go out there and make more plays. These things move hand in hand with one another. And the dangerous thing against this defensive line now, their pressure comes from all over. You're not focusing on one man and one great threat. You're focusing all along that front four, and the fact is they have what the Lions don't, which is a variety of edge players who come in different shapes and sizes. They've got specialist pass rushers in James Houston. They've got guys who are good against the run like Jadeveon Clowney. You've got guys who can do both like Aziru Aku, but all of them can rush the passer. They're all skilled pass rushers. The Lions don't have anybody outside of Hutch who do this, and this is one big difference here. I'd love having Houston here as a pass rush specialist, but we don't value that. But Dallas do, and they're reaping the benefits of this. You've got 3 defensive tackles who can rush the passer through the interior. So it's not just all on the edges. They can hit you from all over and they will find that weakness. You will see some games where it's the defensive tackles doing all the plays against the quarterback because they found the weakness on the interior of the line and the edge guys hold up. Vice versa, another week, you'll see the edges going to the town and the defensive tackles holding up against the run. It's because it's such a varied group of people. You have a stout anchor in there in Kenny Clark, who has been a bitch in the Lions. He's been a thorn in our side ever since he got drafted into this league. Even Frank had trouble with Kenny Clark, and he's not lost his step. He looks rejuvenated there in Dallas right now. Between him and Quinn and Williams, and then you're trying to keep away a whole host of pass rush. We're talking about Sam Williams. He's having a good season as well. They've just got guys who can hit you from everywhere. You mix it in with good blitzing options from the second level. They have a ton of weapons to hit us with. And we have struggled against this in recent weeks. The offensive line is not coordinated, the communication's down, the assignments are missed. And then when the pressure comes, Goff's under pressure. It's just, again, it's a horrible matchup because the way you get out of this is by running the football. But we're going to ask once again a completely banged up interior offensive line to try and run a football against Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark. That's tough. Any day of the week, that's tough. And if they get Trayvon Diggs back this week, again, I know some say he's a stat merchant or not what, but the fact is the dude makes plays. The dude gets turnovers. If he is back this week, even if he's on a snap count, that's a weapon you've got to think about in Dallas's secondary. It's going to be better for them 'cause turnovers is one of the few things they struggle with. If he's back, you've got to worry about him as well. It's a defense it's better than the stats that read again. You just read bog stats from the year. It's just not true of what it is now. It's a changed unit. It's a unit that's grown as the season. And that magically is what happens. Stats don't always tell you a story. They just tell you the median of what's gone on so far. Unfortunately for us, we're on the high end of these stats right now, not the low ones that are keeping these stats at middle ground here. We're starting to reach the point now where they're doing very good and they're going upwards. And again, it's not what we want to face. You're going to have a lot of difficulty keeping this Dallas front out of your backfield. You're going to have to find a way by hook or by crook to run the football, and create, stop the tackles for loss. The tackles for loss are killers, putting your back on second down, third down. Teams just pin their ears back and come after you the second you get into that. We've got to stop with the negative, shitty, quick plays out. The 1 yard passes, the 2 yard passes, the screens, the dump, all this stuff. They will eat it alive. They will eat it. Again, it's another one of these defenses. We're going to have to find a way to run through them and open them up, and it's going to be tough. So again, it's just a matchup I don't like. We're just coming up against a series of very good defensive lines, and this one happens to have a lot of depth to it. So, whoever's offensively calling this game is going to have to bring out the bag of tricks here. You're going to have to roll out a diverse, articulate campaign with lots of different play calls, lots of different plays. Keep them guessing, keep them off balance a bit, use your motion a lot more. You're gonna have to do that, and you're gonna have to use JMO downfield. Got to get these suckers to back off and try and take that out of the unit there. If we just keep playing offense like we have done the last few weeks, they will eat that shit alive. Hopefully our team is good enough to know this.
Right, let's talk about the Kansas City game before we talk about adjustments we'd like to see. And I know, Ant, you've just kind of talked about a few there. But, Ash, talking about this Chiefs game, 31-28 Dallas, it was back and forth. Kansas City hung around, but Dallas kind of led the way the whole game. They, always looked like they were kind of in command, even when they fell a point behind in the... When did they fall behind? Start the fourth quarter, they, came back with a vengeance and then, really put the foot down. One thing I think that really highlights how well Dallas played in this game, a lot of third and fourth downs. It's 16 third downs and a fourth down. Converted 9 of 16 on third and 1 of 1 on fourth. One of their touchdown drives was where Lamb went 3 of 3 on third down, including getting the touchdown in the end zone. They had another Lamb throw on third down to convert in the drive before that. Dak very good at replacing man with ball when it comes to blitzes, something that you've been very hot on generally. The Malik Davis touchdown was a highlight of how they really can do things in the run. Had a fullback in an offset and just led him for a touchdown, which was lovely. Dak saw the blitzes coming. There were some unblocked rushes that they left in this game. Just trusted Dak to stand and deliver, not unlike we used to do with Stafford in some ways. And he really did do that. And he's been an absolute master of just buying some time in the pocket and being able to kind of find his guy by creating sort of unique angles. So, especially quite late on, he scrambled in the red zone on third down to his right-hand side, quite a long way to draw a rusher towards him who was meant to be covering Javonte Williams so that he could then just put the ball on him for a 2-yard touchdown. Really nice, up 7. On their own 5-yard line, went for a deep play action shot down the seam to CeeDee Lamb with no fear in the world when other teams would go, well, we're 7 up, why would we risk things here? And he goes for a 51-yarder completely through the air. They did get a bit lucky in this game. They had 2 forced fumbles against them that both went out of bounds. A little bit of luck there, perhaps. And on defense, they gave up some yards sometimes. Against the run, the Chiefs went at... 5 yards a carry? Yeah, just over 5 yards a carry the Chiefs went at. But it didn't really seem to make a difference in this game. The Cowboys always seemed like they kind of had the number there. But like I say, the run game, the stretch plays got yards, duo got yards, there were end arounds which got yards. Stuff that we like to run was kind of working. But the Chiefs didn't really stay with it. And the really big difference is that when it came to money downs, third down, fourth down, Mahomes was getting sacked and got sacked by Clowney multiple times. He just kind of ate it in the worst possible situations. When it came to the really important downs, because Dallas last in the NFL on third down, but it didn't really seem like that was the case in this game, which is why we talk about it being a bit different now. DeMarvin Overshown was a beast in this game. He had Mahomes' number quite often in this game. The pressures, they were getting them without blitzing. And then on special teams, Aubrey and Anger just had great games between them without being remarkable, which is who they are. Brandon Aubrey may be the best kicker in the NFL since he's joined it. And Anger just has a huge leg with big hang time. It's going to be hard to get yards in special teams. They're going to get kicks from long with Brandon Aubrey, one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL since he's come in. There's very little weaknesses now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely true. And it just shows they've played both Super Bowl teams from last season over the past 2 weeks and beat them both. Who would have said that at the start of the season? They have certainly turned things around. The offense has stayed true. The special teams have. Like, we all know my gripes for special teams, and this week we're coming up against a unit that can definitely rival our own in terms of personnel. And the defense, it gave up yards. As you said, when it came to the money downs, they bent, but they did not break. They got the stops they needed to keep the Chiefs out of it, and they basically just need the same game plan against us. I'm more than sure they'll be happy to give up 30 points to us, so long as they stop us on key downs like fourth downs, and they know that their offense can keep them in it. That's all they need to do.
And how did you? Oh, sorry.
It's impressive what they're doing. This has been one of the biggest changes with the Cowboys for me. For years, I've always assumed the Cowboys, or I've looked at them and I've seen a team that doesn't have a spine. Like when it's in trouble, it crumbles. All the big games, it crumbles. It's just not traditionally been good. What's it done against Kansas and Philly? It's come back from deficits, especially early in games. We forget they were 21 points down against the reigning Super Bowl champions, getting absolutely smoked. They had no right being in that game whatsoever when they were playing Philly, and somehow, some way, they flipped that thing on a script. Early against the Chiefs, that gets picked off. Chiefs score a touchdown. They're on the ropes. They're down early. They go down twice in the end, and they kept finding a way to bite back and keep scoring. And like last year when we went there to AT&T, we mentally broke them very early in that game, and they just had nothing and offered nothing. They don't look anything like that team anymore. You've got to put them away now, and you've got to put them away before they have the belief that they could win this game, because if they have the belief they're going to win it, they will. And that's what was really on show with them there. Even when there were mistakes and whatnot, they just bounced back right away. And the way they pressured Mahomes and forced him into errors and just had him going all over the field, it had me having kittens. Because I can see exactly the same thing happening with us. Our QB ain't as mobile as theirs is. And he's been average recently. He's been giving up a lot of, intentional groundings, stuff like that that's going to come into play. He's not looked happy in that pocket whatsoever. And, it's just, it was really good performance from them. They just kept Patrick quiet for the most part, but they just always kept in it, then kept in front and didn't let Kansas really get back into it. That scoreline was flattering at the end of the day. He got a late garbage time touchdown, which was an absolutely stupendous catch, by the way, but it didn't deserve to be that close. They took the hits early, and then they just smoked Kansas when Kansas let the foot down. So it was a very impressive performance. And like you say, you go back to back, and I know Kansas, some will say, are not the team they were this year, but you've still got to beat them. I mean, when was our last impressive win? We've not beaten the Eagles. We've not beaten the Chiefs. I look back at our season now. Even the Bucks win we can't class as a good one anymore, because they're not particularly that good either. So
really annoyingly, the one that's aged the best is the fucking win against the Bears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's when they were a shit team who were 2 games in under the new head coach. So they've got, they weren't ready, clamoured into it. It's Dallas are winning games and have proved they can win games that we have proven that we can't. And that's the second one in a row they've pulled off now. We've not had a win of that magnitude this year. So that's what they showed me there more than anything in the Chiefs game, is this new attitude of theirs is legit, and they're playing like they believe they can win that damn NFC East, and they probably could chase the Eagles down at this point. They're not gonna come to Ford Field with any fear. They've just beaten the Super Bowl champions. They've beaten the dynasty. What are we to them? We're just a team who's had one good year and that's it. So, I absolutely know they're not going to fear us, and this is their playoff. For us, it is our playoff, but for them, it is because their season, as you said, is it a loss to them harms it more than it does us. But the stakes are very high. Hopefully, it works in our favor. But yeah, they're very impressive. They're very resilient, and that's worrying.
All right, so let's talk about this matchup specifically. You've both alluded to it in bits and pieces. What changes, Ash, would you make for the Lions for this game? What do you want to see them do? If we're going to win, how are we going to do it? I am struggling.
I know it's going against our team identity, but you look at the two games that we've lost recently, Philly and the Packers. What's the one thing they really have in common? Us continually whacking our heads against the fourth down ball when we should have taken the points. And I know hindsight's 2020 with that, but one thing that Dan's done throughout his career so far with us is something like that would happen in a game. I'm thinking like the Minnesota game in year 2 of the regime, where he knew he should have gone for a field goal. He didn't. Instead of learn from it, it's kept him up, all that. And he learned from it. Seemingly didn't learn from the Philly game, because I know, well, while I wasn't 100% watching it, I was basically box score watching, while watching some Swiss people throw some bottles and chairs at a Dutchman in the middle of Birmingham. We went for the fourth downs, and I know one of them was a good play call in theory with the pass to Jamin, who just got dropped, but that was at a time when we should have taken the point. So if we get to that point, and I know it's kind of admitting that Dallas is that kind of level as Philly, Packers as us, if we get into that situation where we can take the points and it's in the third quarter, we are behind, take the damn points, please. Stem some of the bleeding. Don't give them the kill blow. And I just don't. And just try and get the other playmakers involved. I know losing Laporta hurts us offensively. It means we lose some of our play calls. I know losing Amaros, the injury early in the Packers game, probably shut off part of our play sheet. But one thing that the Packers game showed is you still have other good playmakers. The really good seam shot to Tom Kennedy, that's a Sam Laporta play, but you've done it with Tom Kennedy. Do that. You have good enough players. Like Raymond should hopefully back from his ankle injury. Kennedy's now on the roster. You can trust him in any 3D position, supposedly. Tesla, you've got this massive weapon that you've traded all these third round picks for. Use them. Because otherwise they'll start keying on Gibbs and it'll be a long day.
And what about you? What's the changes? Bearing in mind you're on mute.
The changes, I mean, the one big thing I would do on defense, I mean, you've got to go and get the quarterback, quite simply. Now, what is the one thing that they don't possess in Dallas that we've struggled with recently? They do not possess a good receiver at running back. Tyrone Tracy, guys like this who have killed our blitz in the last few weeks, Josh Jacobs as well. Javonte Williams doesn't really do that. So you've no excuse not to try and blitz this sucker more now. I would get Brian Branch to one side. I would say to him, fetch, point at Dak, and say, you get a point for every time you kill him. And this is genuinely what I would do. I would have one of our best blitzing secondary players bring him. He's got more sacks than anybody on this team over the last month, I believe it is now, which is just an indictment of where we're at. But use him. You're not going to get burned by a leaky running back out the backfield because they don't possess it. You've got to find a way to pressure Dak purely and simply because your defensive line is not good enough. And again, it's a young defensive line with rookies in there, with second-year guys, third-year guys. Let's put some pressure on them. Let's make them struggle. Let's be a little bit more aggressive. We're going to have to trust Reed and Arnold. They're both back. You've got Pickens. You've got Lamb. We've invested a lot of money in DJ Reed. We invested a first round pick in Terry and Arnold. These are the kind of games we've invested in for, and where we need to start seeing a return in our investment. Trust them to stand up there. Trust Jack to look after the tight ends, or Anzalone to look after the tight ends. Keep Ferguson quiet. It'd be a lot easier. But You've got to go searching for Dak. You saw what happened, that shitty throw right at the beginning because there was an unmarked blitzer coming through in his face, forcing him to panic and make mistakes. So be aggressive and use your best guys to do it. Keep using Barnes, keep using Branch. Go, 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 go. Done. That's how you do it. I don't want to hear that the defensive line had 30 pressures or something again, which we all know is bollocks. You've got to do something to sort it, purely and simply. Rest of your defense ain't going to work. Offensively, I mean, you've just got to get creative in your own game. Let's just not have a drive where 4 times in a row we run Jameer up the gut, or we just do the same run pass, which is a screen concept over and over again. You've got weapons, use them. When we used JMO early in the last one, we got scores early. We made Green Bay think a little bit for a little while about what we were going to do, and you've got to spread the defense. You've got to take some shots early. That means walking out for the first offensive play of the game in jumbo with Tesla and JMO on the field, the only two running around, can do it. If you can hold up long enough, hit them for 20 yards, 30 yards, whatever, immediately you're going to make your life so much easier. We have not scored a point in the first quarter of the last 3 games. Why? Because we're being predictable. We just come out and we try and run the football, and defenses know this. So instantly the safeties are up. Instantly they're bringing pressure and blitzing, putting us behind the sticks because they know that we are stubborn and want to play Lions football. And unfortunately, the league has caught up to that now. It's just not feasible anymore. So you've got to throw the party tricks out right at the beginning to set the tone and stop teams getting on top of you offensively. These are the 2 biggest things we need to do to have a chance in this game, because I don't think it's hyperbole to say if both teams play how they've been playing recently, there's only one winner in this game, and it's not us.
I would love to actually see us lean into who we are more than we ever have done in terms of the run game. Because, and yes, let's not be predictable about it to Ant's point, but the Chiefs are reluctant to run the ball. Generally speaking, they've struggled to do it all year, not because they aren't good at it, but because they don't want to be doing that. But they ended up doing it a lot in this game because they knew it was going to be one of the ways where they get success. And they ended up getting 5 yards a carry doing it. Some of that was splash plays, but they consistently got success on the ground. Even though we're injured, if we're out Amon-Ra St. Brown, which we probably will be, and we don't have Cleve Raymond, and we don't have Brock Wright, and we don't have Sam Laporta, and what we do have is just JMO, JMO should be along with Gibbs, the check down relief option where we should be playing 21 personnel with Monty and Gibbs as options, depending on what you want to do. Flex out Gibbs most of the time, sometimes bring him into the backfield. That actually helps the pass protection anyway. And spam running the ball straight at their heart. Because if we can't win that way, we ain't going to win this game. By doing that, we'll control the clock if we're successful. And if it doesn't work, I'm sorry, but I don't think passing the ball is going to be great here. Goff is worse against zone than he is against man anyway. They play 86% zone. That's going to be tough. Target the middle of the field, get JMO running crosses and seams, hit that just enough to keep them honest, and otherwise run the shit out of the ball. I want to see us go for 250 yards on the ground because we ran it 50 times. And got great success that way. Grind them down. One of the great things.
That's unfortunately how Dan wants to play football.
I know, but we haven't actually been doing it because we have been going away from it. One of the things at the start of this season was that we ran the ball and it didn't work in the first quarter. But we kept running the ball all the way through the game, and by the fourth quarter, we were breaking teams. We haven't done that since week 4 because we eventually go, it's not working, I'm going to go away from this. Destroy them. Actually be gritty, because we haven't been gritty in some time. Actually be who you want to be for once. And
but how can you carry on running the football when you're on double-digit deficits all the time? Because you're just not doing anything at the start of games. You're 10 down after a quarter against the Packers and the Eagles. Twice in a row now. You've not scored anything. Again, no points in the first three first quarters. How can you just consistently run a football when you're double digits down? You can't. You're asking them with a banged up interior offensive line to just keep running at the best nose tackle in the NFL and one of the best defensive tackles, period, and just expecting it to work. That's kind of just exactly what Dan does. That's what they'll want us to do. Saquon Barkley and that offensive line for the Eagles couldn't run on this team because that's what they tried to do early.
Low key, though, the Eagles have struggled to run the ball against anyone this season. They've had a massive regression against pretty much everyone. Barkley's having maybe the worst season of his career. So
They're still a pretty good barometer.
yeah, maybe true, but I would say, okay, let me have a look and see what the Eagles have done in the rushing game this year, just to highlight the point, and hopefully it will highlight the point. They've had 5 games where they've gone over 100 yards this year. They've had 7 under 100, including 2 games of under 50. The last 2 games they've gone for under 90. This is not who the Eagles were meant to be at all. Maybe I'm having a look at the teams that they've really struggled to run the ball against, and they've been some of the better rush defenses in the league, or teams that like to blitz significantly. Maybe that's what we should do on defense, is blitz significantly and not allow them to run the ball. Sorry, that's the Eagles. We still do that against Dallas, so we should blitz the hell out of them, like you were saying before. But the Eagles aren't as good a barometer as they should be. But other teams have struggled to run the ball against them recently, I do agree. Woefully underprepared here. Dallas, running defense. They have given up 27 yards against the Raiders, 63 against the Eagles, 119 against the Chiefs. But they've given up after they've changed since the bye, didn't they, though, significantly?
That's it. You know, again, stop using overall stat. You're looking at the last month they've played since their bye.
The Eagles
Those
didn't
stats
change
are just
massively.
simply not indicative of who this team is, and you know it.
Yeah, but the Eagles haven't changed significantly. That was part of the point I was trying to say. The Eagles have been shit running the ball all season.
Yeah, but our game plan of just running it up against these two is just not acceptable. Like, they can't do it.
But we haven't got the horses in the passing game.
It's not that we don't want to. They can't do it.
But our weapons are gone in the passing game except for JMO, so it's basically picking the lesser of 2 evils. Use JMO as a surprise.
Yes, but why can't we run the football? Because we're not using JMO.
Yeah,
We haven't been using JMO. You can't get any semblance of a run game. Look how aggressive teams play against us. You've seen it in these recent games. Just every single game, it's us throwing short passes, getting eaten up because we can't run the football, and it's just you have these long-ass periods of the game where you don't score points because it's predictable.
But then Goff
You've
can't
got
make
to get
those
out your
throws.
models. Find a way. You did against Green Bay. The Tesla drive against Green Bay, you're in jumbo the entire time. You find blockers. You find time for Goff. He only needs one good guy to get open and do it. You found a recipe in a little bit. Use it more. I want to see Skip loads in this game. In fact, I'd rather he be on there as much as most of the starting offensive line is.
Well, with no tight ends, he's probably going to be playing a lot of the time.
Because you're going to need to. So, you know.
I mean, who's starting a tight end for us? Bergser?
Yeah.
So I suspect the Skip is probably going to be playing, I don't know, 40% of the reps? Potentially.
Can get it at 60, 70, just keep doing it. If you want to play lines football, you're going to have to play that bully ball. So you're going to have to play a jumbo. You're going to have to do something different. It's just our stubbornness and unwillingness to adapt is why we're in the situation we are in right now. And I'm just not going to go and watch another first quarter where we just do nothing again because we try and play our way. We are so stubborn. It's always run the ball to open the game up. Teams know that now. It's going to be neon lights in the Dallas training room all week. Stop them running the football early and we've got them in the palm of our hand, boys. Not, oh shit, actually, you know, this guy's already burning us for a hundo after a quarter and a half. Maybe, just maybe we should back off a bit and try and deal with him because he's killing us. You know, we...
All right. Let's move on to what we should do, to what we think is going to happen, and give us a scoreline for us.
You can come back to me last, because I still don't know.
Ash.
I've got to be optimistic. I'm a homer at heart, aren't I? 38-34 Lions.
I don't have to be a homer. That's not who I am. I'm going for a Dallas win. And I'm going to go for 34-20.
Genuinely don't know.
I genuinely can't see the route to victory.
See,
I can't see it.
This is where I'm at. I love to be a homer. I am a homer for the most part. I bleed this, but I have lost faith in this year's team. I'm not saying I've lost faith in the project. I don't. I think the project's going in the right direction. We've still got a lot of talented players here, but I don't believe in this team that's going out there this year because they are not learning from their mistakes. They quite clearly can't win on the line of scrimmage on the offensive line. We're struggling to run the ball. It's taking a superhero effort from Jahmyr Gibbs to keep us in games. And a lot of it's sometimes down to him. Some of it's good blocking, but it's inconsistent blocking. And we're just not learning. And defensively, we're not learning either. We've let two teams walk all over us because they are so devoted to the way of football they play. This is the worst of the Aaron Glenn era we're going through right now because Aaron just would not change. No matter how much his system wasn't schematically matching up against another team, if it was the worst matchup in history, he'd still have the stubborn belief that his way would win. And it just doesn't. You can have the best scheme in history. You can be out chess matched by someone, and someone can beat you, and they're not adapting. And the defensive line's getting no pressure. 3 sacks in regulation in the last 4 games. And I keep getting gaslighted by the media and everything. It's going, oh, but they're getting loads of pressure. Fuck off. Sorry, I'm not buying it. They're not. My eyes can see. My eyes can see that the opposition quarterback is not having anywhere near enough problems against this team. I don't care how many pressures PFF says they're getting. 3 sacks in 4 games, unacceptable in regulation. Hutch is the only one who can do a damn thing about it, and the opposition can devote so many resources to blocking him because we don't have one guy capable of winning a one-on-one at all. I would class this Dallas O-line as a weakness in another day if my D-line was going well, just because of how young it is. And you might be able to frighten it, stage fright, get really aggressive against it, make them doubt themselves, force some errors, get to the QB that way. From what my eyes see, I don't trust my defensive line in the slightest. And that's the way we play football. The trenches aren't winning. They're playing better teams than us. They're getting better wins than us. They're on a win streak. We've not won back-to-back since week 5, which is what, 2.5 months ago now at this point. They're inconsistent. And this stupid stat, we've not lost back-to-back, it's just stupid now. Everything is telling me that Dallas are going to win as much as I want to say it's going to be a Detroit win. But I have to use my eyes and my brain. And for them, it's a must win. For us, it is a must win. But it's not season ending. And I just don't see where all the problems are going to get solved. I think Dallas will... It pains me to say this. I think Dallas might well beat us. I think it'll be closer than yours. Our team will fight hard. I say something about... It'll be low scoring, 24-21 to Dallas. Something like that, I reckon, would be the score. I hope I'm wrong, and we play our best football when when our backs are in a corner, but I'm sick of that now. I'm sick of having to have my back up against the corner before my team plays well. So yeah, Dallas win.
All right, let's just ask you guys whether you have anything else to say on this game before we sign off on the audio pod.
Interesting that we're going for the all whites instead of the all blacks in this special day.
And anything further before we sign off on the audio show?
Darnell Wright is not within 4 tiers of what Penei Sewell is as a right tackle. You can shut that up right now.
Yeah, sorry, broski. That's not going to fly. Right, we are going to sign off on the audio pod. If you're on YouTube and Twitch, you stay right there. We're going to continue on. For you guys on the audio show, we're going to draw this to a close. If you want to have some overtime, we're going to be talking about the weekend's games that just happened in the NFL on extra time. Next episode is the College Football Podcast. That's going to be midweek. Going to be looking back at Week 14, the final games of the regular season, and looking at the conference championship games among all the news that's been happening.
Yep, lots going on this week. Let's say it's the end of the season now, so this is where it all gets packed. So, yeah, come join us. A lot of stuff to talk about.
The main show is going to be live on Thursday Night Football for Cowboys at Lions. Come revel in the game with us, win or lose. We will be here as many games as we can, unless we're going to be meeting in person, which if you are available on December 14th, on the Sunday for Lions at Rams, we're going to be in London once again. So, Hippodrome Casino, Sunday night, if you want to come and say hello to some friendly Lions fans. You can find us on our socials, Royal Lions UK, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and the Facebook group for Worldwide fans, Detroit Lions fans, UK 1 Pride Worldwide, the website, rotluk.com. Please subscribe and rate us 5 stars on your podcast provider. Remains for me to thank my co-hosts, Ant and Ash. Thank you for doing this with me once again, and to all of you for listening. Down, but not out. Let's go Lions, 1 Pride.
1 Pride.
Recording stopped.
Rest of the week's games, as this feels a bit alien as doing a preview show to be talking about what happened last week, but here we are. Still want Monday Night Football to go, to be honest. We've talked about Thanksgiving's games already. We didn't talk about Black Friday's game, Bears versus Eagles, and the Bears put out one of the performances of the season, I think. He got his 5th straight win, Ben Johnson as the Bears head coach, 24-15. I went 9-3. After the Rams lost, they are now number 1 in conference. Caleb still doesn't look right, but when you get 2 rushes going over 120 yards each, boys, you don't need your quarterback to be playing 100%.
Ben said today, like, they're carrying their passing game right now. Like, they're winning in spite of it, but they're executing perfectly, which is what we used to do. So it's kind of annoying to see the Bears doing this. And, you know, they invested a lot in that interior in the offseason. They threw money at it. We've chosen to do it the draft route, which is fine, but they're getting short-term payoff on it, and it looks very good right now. So, you know, it's very dangerous when a team runs the football so well and it executes so well. They did it against one of the best defensive lines in football, which, again, we just struggled a lot with as well and couldn't really deal with. So, yeah, they've played a scrub schedule for the most part. Obviously, the Eagles are not scrubs. The Eagles are still a decent football team, but they are benefiting from an incredibly easy schedule. But you've got to win the games against the teams around you, and they're heading in the right direction. And, you know, it's annoying to see them doing it. It's annoying to see their Canadian left tackle playing well in football while ours does fuck all as well, by the way. And they got theirs out of free agency. We drafted ours. I know we didn't play the other day, but still rankles me. The fact he's done this, starting an undrafted free agent, going to draft a Canadian football free agent at left tackle, it just shows that, yeah, he does have something about him. Ben does. He just finds a way to work with what he's got.
Yeah, though he has sunk himself on the sexiest head coaches list after taking his fucking shirt off and looking like a 40-year-old man on holiday in Marbella. I know
There's
what he
nothing wrong
did.
with getting towards 40.
Going to Marbella, there's issues with, though. It kind of tells you about a lot about you as a person. If you
I
go
had
to
one of my
Marbella.
best holidays ever in Marbella, I'll have you know.
Oh, drinking his cans of Carlin in the British pub, not taking in any culture around whatsoever. Yeah, that's where
be
those
fair,
people go.
I took in more culture when we took the coach to Gibraltar. Although, to be honest, we did spend most of our time in Puerto Banús, which is the posh end of that part of the world, shall we say. Anyway, moving swiftly on from that, Next game is on Sunday in the early slate, and the 49ers get a win over the Browns to go to 9-4. The Lions could be going up against the 49ers, God willing, to try and get a wildcard spot. This win did not help to push the 49ers to 9 wins. 26-8 victory. Brock Purdy didn't look fantastic, but again, didn't have to because the Browns really couldn't get anything going whatsoever. They had 4 fumbles, of which they lost 2. Neither side put together a huge amount of offense. Really, the 49ers just did enough on the day.
Yeah, the Shador experiment was fun, guys. Can we go back to someone who's competent? Oh, wait, they drafted away their competent QB to their division rival, Bengals. Great.
I mean, not good for our playoff chances either, so that just makes it a little bit more difficult. The 49ers getting these easy dubs. What's that, 2.5 games back on them now? Like, yeah, this is one of the ones we really could have done with going the other way. But hey ho.
Next up, Jags over the Titans, 25-3. Trevor looked fine. No rushing attack whatsoever from Jacksonville. Again, they did just enough. Cam Ward managed to get 24 completions on the day for only 141 yards. That is a rough stat line. I mean, they gave away 2 fumbles of the 3 that they had. That really sunk Tennessee's chances. Jacksonville kind of cruising here at 8-4.
I mean, aren't we all glad that we made the prediction at the start of the year that so late in the season the Jags will be winning the AFC South? Aren't we all glad we made that discussion?
I'm sorry, but
we
it's
all
the Houston
predicted that
Texans.
happening?
You're so wrong.
Are they not? I thought, are the Texans on? I thought they were on.
Texas. Well, no, they're not winning it. They will win it. They're 7-5.
Well, no,
Jags
but
are
Jacksonville
8-4.
Jacksonville are atop. Do not deny my facts, boy.
Boy,
I thought you were trying to.
fuck off.
Boy.
No, you may have predicted that, but you're going to be wrong at the end of it.
No,
That's what
I'm saying in jest. I don't think any of us thought the Jags were going to be top this late in the season. It was in jest.
No, indeed.
None of us thought that Colts would be leading it early in the season. Like the
Colts
AFC
are going to
South
miss
was
out on the.
AFC South.
Colts are missing.
Oh,
the playoffs.
don't mention that word.
Colts are missing the playoffs.
Oh God, Ash, you've said his trigger word. Why did you say his trigger word before necessary? Honestly, this is a generational hate watch. Even Lane Kiffin's not going to get this much hate over the next few years as what Matt has poured on the Colts. Jesus.
Any more on this Jags Titans game?
Yeah, let's get Cam Ward an actual competent OC, please. I'm
Well-
saying that as a hate watcher of him.
Exactly, because he can go in the direction of another quarterback who's doing pretty well, who everyone wrote off right now. So do not give up
I
on
didn't
him.
realise you were a CJ Stroud fan.
I'm not a CJ Stroud fan at all, in the slightest. I never
Right.
have been.
Let's talk about CJ Stroud and who I presume you're talking about in Daniel Jones. Texans ran out 20-16 victors. No? Is that not who you were meaning?
I'm talking about Bryce Young. Thank you. And
Oh,
please.
I knew
Sorry.
who you meant. I know who you meant.
I really thought you meant Daniel Jones with how much you've been fucking going on about him all season.
Hang on. That's more Ash's thing than mine. You know the Panthers are my gig, and they have been for a long time.
And
so,
to be fair, we are going to get there with how much of a victory lap you can take about the Carolina Panthers in just a minute. Texans against Colts in a very entertaining game, 20-16. Stroud, 22 of 35, 276, a pick, no touchdowns in his return. On the ground, they got 2 touchdowns, but didn't get a huge amount, 3.5 yards a carry. Jonathan Taylor got run into the ground, but was stuffed so often, it really kind of, staggered what they were trying to do. And Jones was near 50% completions, and that ain't going to do the business. Nico Collins was an absolute beast in this game. He was massive. They did have a fumble, which they recovered for themselves, Houston. The defense was fantastic, despite only having 1 sack on the day by Sheldon Rankins, which is a great performance by the Colts offensive line. But the amount of pressure that Daniel Jones was under meant he was just having to throw the ball away. And I think he did actually very well, Daniel Jones, especially having a fractured leg. He was quite mobile in this, despite not trying to do too much. Only 1 sack when you're not really able to move in the pocket against this defense is no mean feat. But at the end of the day, Texans are starting to take control of this division, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, and the sad news for me is I was going to make this stuff joke because I was going to say, well, I didn't know Jonathan Taylor was suddenly starring in a collaboration with with Bonnie Blue and Martha Stewart in Mountains getting stuff like a Thanksgiving turkey, but you had to go and steal that, like sort of half steal it from me.
Wow.
Had it all primed and set
I
up.
swear
and
Bonnie
then
Blue
you...
gets at least one mention every single show. I think I should set the over-under at 1.5 on Bonnie Blue mentions on this show. It's like we have fans of hers on here. But anyway.
I mean, it is relevant for the Colts. The mascot is called Blue, and it's famous for doing the hump dance. There is some relevancy for me bringing it up now.
No,
this
is just called you cannot suppress creativity, Grandmaster. Now, this is your pod, but we value creativity and free
It's not my
thinking
pod.
on here.
This is our pod.
Yes, well, you host it. You cannot subjugate the free thinking.
Quiet,
on
you!
Here, so exactly. I remember when the phase when you went through mooting everybody when you didn't like what they were saying. So it's dictatorial around here.
Well, the power went to my
Also,
head.
something Bonnie Blue likes.
Yes.
You will never suppress our creativity.
I don't think that's what she's about. But anyway, let's move on.
Creative.
Oh, I'll take your word for it. Oh, right. Moving on to what was a closer game than it perhaps should have been. Dolphins beat the Saints 21-17. Tua was shockingly bad in this game, 12 of 23 for 157 and a pick. But when you've got Devon Achane, who's firmly put himself in the upper echelon of running backs in this league, you can win any game in this league. And the Dolphins have run off 4 out of 5 now, find themselves at 5-7. And I have a take about the Dolphins I'm going to share with you after you've had a chance to talk about this game. So, boys, Dolphins 5-7 over the Saints, now 2-10, firmly looking like they're in the race with the Titans for the number 1 overall pick still.
Devon Achane, welcome to being a Kansas City Chief after free agency.
I'm sorry, I didn't watch this. I was watching Holby City instead because I didn't think that was shite enough to watch. I needed something even worse. So, I'm never going to watch it. Why would I watch a Saints game right now? I'd rather glass my own eyes. They're a horrible team to watch. This is no thing about the Dolphins, by the way, Grandizer. Great for you. They've only got 2 wins less than us, which is also very disturbing. But at the same point, I ain't ever going to watch the Saints right now. They're the worst team in the NFL by a distance.
Right, here's my take for you guys, and I think you will enjoy this because it takes a little bit of humbling on my part. I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to miss the playoffs because I think the Miami Dolphins are going to beat them in the division.
I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure my headphones just cut out there or something along those lines. I could have swore Matt said Buffalo were going to beat the Dolphins, but it kept cutting out. I couldn't hear the words in between, but I know there's no way he'd ever say the Dolphins will beat the Bills, so I'm just assuming in those little gaps I had, he was just saying how badly they were going to get eviscerated.
So we're going to come on to the Bills later and to their game yesterday, which was atrocious. The Buffalo Bills are 8-4, Miami are 5-7. It's a 3-game. They're 3 games back. They're playing fairly well. There's some similarity in the teams that they're facing. The way the Buffalo are playing right now, the way Miami are playing right now, I can genuinely see a route to Miami maybe having the same record as Buffalo, and then it comes down to tiebreakers, and on the balance of probabilities, I'll say that Miami take it. Maybe that's not enough for Miami to get in, mind you, but I do think Miami are going to finish ahead of Buffalo in this division.
No, I'm pretty sure my headphones are still messing up here. I can't hear all of
Oh,
this.
shut your face. The way the Buffalo are playing right now, there's no reason to
Grandize is doing a little tiki dance at home for you now, just like a well-wishing thing, because he's going to be that happy if he hears this. He's going to have been gutted he's missed this live. You think the Miami Dolphins are going to finish on the same record as the Buffalo Bills?
I think they're both going to finish 9-8, yeah.
How much? How confident are you in on this?
Oh, if I was going to bet on it, I'd want odds because it's an insane take. I know it's a nutter take to have, but
Oh no, I was gonna say we play the odds here. Winner takes all. I will take the other side of the bet.
I'm not taking 50-50. I'd want like 5-1 at least. I
Oh
know
no,
it's
no.
unlike-
I mean, we put something up for grabs, like a bottle for somebody or something. Or if you're that confident.
I've bought you enough booze over the years.
No, he's not confident, folks. This is a lie, just designed for attention and clicks.
How nice was the bottle of rum I got for you, by the way?
Very nice. I've still not had it all. I have it in increments. I might have some now. It's approaching Christmas, actually. So, but it is very nice.
I'll put up another one. Why not?
All I've got to do is have the Bills finish with a better run. This is easy. This is easier than.
Okay, so
No, I've already made enough jokes today.
okay, so it's going to come down, I think, to week 18. The Miami Dolphins are at the Jets, which is a game I know the Jets won, but it is a game that the Miami Dolphins should win. They're at the Steelers, who are shit. Frankly, they're all at sea. How on earth they lost that fucking game, I don't know. And then they're at home to Cincinnati, who are going to be better with Burrow back, but I've got faith that Miami can win that game at home. And then we've got versus Tampa Bay, who are not who they were, and might well be out of the playoffs at that point. And then week 18's at the Patriots, who they'll probably lose to. So I think they're going to win 4 in a row before losing in week 18. Whereas Buffalo, the way they're playing, they're at home to Cincinnati. I don't know why they should win that game, given the
Trey
comparative
Hendrickson's
strength.
not going to play.
Sorry?
Trey Hendrickson's not going to play in that game.
I still think the way that both teams are playing, that the Bengals are a more put together football team right now. On a week-to-week basis, obviously in the seasons they've had, the Buffalo Bills are a better team because of the record they have. But on a week-to-week basis, with Burrow back, I think the Bengals should win that game. They're at the Patriots, they'll lose that. The way they're playing at Cleveland is no gimme. Then they're against the Eagles, who are going to be playing for playoff seeding, or might be trying to fight off Dallas altogether. And then they finally finish versus the Jets, which might be a desperation game. Relatively considering how they're playing, the Bills are... Anyway, we'll talk about the Bills, but anyway. Let's talk about the next game, which is Falcons at Jets. Jets win 27-24. And suddenly the Falcons are only one game ahead of these New York Jets after the terrible start that the New York Jets had this season. They improved to 3-9 with 3 wins in their last 5. Tyrod Taylor wasn't good. The running game wasn't good. Kirk Cousins was okay. Bijan Robinson was fantastic on the ground. But they lost the fumble. And Isaiah Williams had an 83-yard kick return. And otherwise, the Jets did just about enough to win this game. I mean, the Falcons really called in the last bit.
I'm genuinely concerned about the British Falcons lot. Their tweeting has been slowly getting more depressing these last few. I think they're 1-7 now, aren't they, in the last 8 games or whatever? I think this was like a 3-1 ball club at one point, and
3-2 they were.
They're 3-2, and now they're like 1-7 over the last 8 games. I'm genuinely concerned for them. They are tweeting some very disturbing things about their state of mind right now, and I don't blame them because their team looks cooked. They were supposed to go to the playoffs this year. This was supposed to be the year, and now you've kind of got to blow it all up again, and you've probably got to start looking for a quarterback again, potentially. It's like this is going to be the start of a rebuild again. I don't know how Morris is still in position now. He's got to be close to being gone. Maybe they're just waiting for the end of the season. They are officially out of playoff contention now. Fire him now. Get a jump on the next head coach search, whatever, but it's dead man walking. They're just sleepwalking now. The season's over, and it's just going to be hell for them for the next few months until they get the new guy in.
Yeah, I agree. And the funny thing is, obviously, they don't even have their own first-round pick to get that QB, so they're going to have to settle for like the second, third tier of QBs, like Drew Aller. They're going to pin their wagon to him, maybe. Someone like that.
Carson Beck.
Carson Beck. Hell, I know this is going to make Ants happy that I'm bringing this name up. Byron Brown, even as a stopgap for a couple of years until they fix the rest of the team, did fucking well enough with USF this season and the season before. He's better than half the people probably on the second tier QB list.
Moving on to the next game, and then I'm going to disappear for 2 minutes. Buccaneers over the Cardinals 20-17 in an entertaining close game. Jacoby Brissett kept his team in it with over 300 passing yards. Baker Mayfield doesn't seem like himself. Bucky Irving is back and did something on the ground. At the end of the day, and the Buccaneers only just got over the line here.
Yeah, it's clear they're not the team they were last year. I think injuries have kind of taken its toll on this team. The Cardinals have kind of been really sleepwalking recently. They've not looked that good, and they made them look really good. Untimely late season return to form for Marvin Harrison Jr. on my fantasy team. Way too little, too late, MHJ, but it wasn't pretty at all. Again, there was nothing happened in the first quarter. It was just punt, 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 and turnovers, and yeah. But I mean, they're still 7-5. The fact that they're still in the race in the NFC South is kind of a indictment of where that conference is right now. But they're not a playoff caliber team this year, the Bucs, which is a shame. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward, because I kind of don't know. They're too good to tank right now. But they're going to need to change a lot of things going forward. So, yeah, it just wasn't pretty on either side of the ball. The Cards probably can't wait for the season to be over, rightly so. The Bucs, I don't think they're going to go very far if they do make the postseason.
Yeah. But one thing made for the Bucs is obviously they've had Kadeki out all season, getting him back next season. But just having bookend tackles just to protect Mayfield will help him a lot. And getting a bit young on that defense, because getting Cansey back, like, it's like two to my own horn before I then obviously point out my massive failure in the offseason. Just showing how important he is to that defense, the fact that he's been out for most of the season and it's not been as good as it's supposed to be. He was really the linchpin of it. It just shows how good he is. But then, same time, I'm giving myself some praise. My fucking off-season prediction of the Cardinals winning the NFC West looks absolutely dire with every passing week.
It's a very tough conference right now.
Yeah.
We got a big man, Tuddy. Tristan Wirfs got himself a touchdown. Good catch as well. But yeah, the Bucs for me, they need to invest. Their receiver core's broken now. I think Evans and Godwin, they're just too injured right now. I know they've got a Booker. They're going to need another star receiver next year. Someone who's quite physical again, some perimeter guy to work with a Booker. That feels like they really need to
someone
invest
physical,
in that.
Someone physical, eh? What about a 6'4", 210-pound receiver?
I don't. There's a lot of those. Well, there's a lot of those. Maybe not a lot of NFL ones, but we traded him Tesla.
No, Deuce Robinson.
Oh, well, yeah.
The one fucking bright spark on the FSU offense.
They can take him. They can keep him there. That's absolutely fine. They need another edge rusher as well. I think they got to replace some bits on that line. It's getting old now. Obviously, Vita still looks amazing, but he's like 50 billion years old. So,
and he's having to carry the entire line, as I say, because as much as we like some of their pieces on there, like got Elijah Roberts, he's a rookie. You need Roberts, Vea, and Cansey at next season. Deadly.
Yeah. And I think you do need to replace some on that offensive line as well. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough for sure.
Hello.
No, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Many thanks to Marmarker, by the way, for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that. Says Lions, no matter what. Next game. All right. Is the aforementioned Panthers victory over the Rams 31-28 a seesaw game where the lead changed hands seemingly every drive? Panthers get the win eventually. Bryce Young with a fantastic performance. Didn't throw the ball much, only 20 attempts on 60 total offensive plays, ran the ball straight down the Rams' throat and had success doing it. Young himself 15 of 20 for 206, 3 touchdowns, no interception. Stafford, on the other hand, threw 2 pretty woeful picks. One of them went for a pick 6 and also had a back-breaking fumble lost in the final offensive drive of the game to seal it for the Panthers. What a victory for the Panthers, who suddenly are very, very much in the race for the NFC South. We thought this game might be the one that trips them up, with the Buccaneers probably going to beat the Cardinals and the Panthers probably going to lose to the Rams. Suddenly, this has got a whole lot easier for the Panthers.
Yep, and with every passing week, some of the NFL's decision to pass over Tet and let him fall to the Panthers and be that missing piece on the Panthers offense. I'm happy because I've drafted him in most of my fantasy leagues, and I really do like Tet, and I like Bryce Young, and I like the Panthers, but just shows some people just really overthought it with him.
And Jalen Coker looks like a star.
Yeah.
See, you can go down to the SCS for these guys and they can do you well in the league. But this just comes back to the whole thing. They're looking a lot more cohesive as a team now. Like, they don't have any standout stars like, Hubbard and Dowdle are fine, but they're not stars by definition of the word. You look on the defense, it's not like they got a star edge. Like, Derek Brown did really well for them. The sack and the forced fumble was huge, but there's not lots of star names on there. What they do have are a lot of young guys who are fighting really hard and are making some really big plays, and they're working in tandem together. The defense got points when they needed to. The pick 6 was big. It kept the Rams behind them, and they're just fighting really well and they're gelling. That's what Bryce needed. It's a team effort. It's not like he's got one target to aim at and that's it, and he's kind of dependent on him. He's got a load of guys who are working together as a unit, and he can spread it round. He's looking calm, composed, 15 of 20, really accurate, just sort of diced that Rams defense apart, dealt with the pressure really well, didn't put the ball in harm's way much. That's also kudos to the offensive line there, which has had a lot of pieces put on it recently. You could tell the vibes with this Panthers team was different. And the key thing is now they've learned how to win games. And we've seen with the Lions, the more you learn how to win games, the more tasty it gets and the harder you're going to push for it. And, there were parts in this game where you thought, okay, they've been feisty, but the Rams are going to probably put them away now. And every time you got to that scenario, they made a play which turned the game again, which comes with learning how to win. The Panthers attack this offseason. I mean, maybe they could get to the playoffs. I think maybe they might get bounced right away, but I don't think they'd be an easy out for somebody. But if they get next offseason right, they'll be a legitimate candidate for the playoffs next year and making a run if they keep developing the way they are. And of course, this is a huge win for them, and it's annoying because you kind of hope that's not the Rams' bad game out the window now, and they're going to absolutely pulverize us. But, Panthers are doing really well, and I'm just glad to see it just for Bryce's sake.
All right, next one. The embarrassing loss for the Minnesota Vikings, 26-0 against the Seattle Seahawks. And what's even more embarrassing, Sam Darnold didn't even pass 100 net passing yards. Max Brosmer in relief went 19 of 30 for 126, no touchdowns, 4 interceptions. The Seahawks only had 1 offensive touchdown. That was for Zach Charbonnet on the ground. Boys, this is a humbling defeat for a team that is all at sea. At 4-8, the Vikings. We feel shit. It could be worse.
That's it. That's Seahawks defense. We say it every week. Just too damn good. Really damn good. Even when Donald shits to bed as he usually does towards the end of the seasons. To shut out the fucking Vikings. Just insane. And poor Brosmer, to be thrown into the fire like that, did what he could, but at the same time, there's a reason why maybe EDFA, and I know I was particularly calling for him at the end of the offseason. Oh, if the Vikings cut him because they've got some good QBs, maybe we can snatch him up. They've really fucked his confidence now.
Yeah, that Seahawks team looks really damn good. I don't think they're a team you want to be playing in the playoffs at all. It all revolves around that defense. It's just got playmakers everywhere. I swear to God, Ernest Jones must be the most underpaid human of all time in this league. Like, it seems he just is great every year, and I know he's got like I think he's on like 10 million a year. It still feels criminally underpaid for what he does. But like they didn't protect Brosmer at all. I know his throw. I know some of the throws weren't good. That first pick six was horrendous. But it's a young guy. This might be the only game he ever plays in the NFL. And guys put into that situation try to stand out. It doesn't do you any good to just throw balls away and fall to the ground and stuff like that. You've got to make plays, and he tried, and he didn't get there. And I think it was 6 turnovers from the Vikings on the night. It weren't just interceptions; they were fumbling it away as well. They look like a team who knows they're cooked. They are cooked this year, and I think they're heading for a very big rebuild now. But they just gave the GM a big shiny new deal, which is even more hilarious. So I genuinely don't know where they go. I don't think JJ's it, and I think they're just. I would say this very quietly: they need to trade JJ and start reinvesting that into their team, because their team, like the Cowboys, they'll be better for getting rid of him. I truly believe that. You got Addison, you got Naylor, you got guys you can work around, and those several first round picks you get for him will be much more beneficial for you than JJ stat padding every year. I think this is the year you've got to trade him.
I agree. It's time to be realistic about who you are. They're at the end of that build, and they did the great move of getting rid of Stephon Diggs and reinvesting it very, very well, and they got to try and do it again.
Otherwise, he's going to be another rendition of Calvin Johnson, a great player who stat pads the life out of a shorter career at a team that's just not capable of winning ever whilst he's there. That's the direction he's heading right now. So,
all right. Next one is the Bills' victory against the Steelers, 26-7. It was 7-3 to the Steelers at halftime. The Steelers then end up going in the second half. Fumble 6, interception, punt, turnover on downs. End of game. What a rough way to end the game. Aaron Rodgers had to go out of the game in relief. Mason Rudolph went 0-3 for a pick, which is just hilarious to me. The Steelers had net yardage 164, which meant even though Josh Allen didn't eclipse 125 passing yards, because they ran the ball 51 times and they had 249 yards on the ground, Steelers couldn't do shit in the end. But boys, never was there an incident of more self-harm in this week than the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, though it did lead to a cool stat, and I know I've put it in the Discord, and I'm totally ripping it off what I put in there. According to Next Gen Stats, Aaron Rodgers has a perfect 158.3 passer rating when throwing teammates under the bus, because we have officially reached that point of the season, boys, where Aaron Rodgers has started chucking his teammates, giving them all the blame because, no, he's Mr. Perfect Aaron Rodgers. Look at me, I'm playing on a broken wrist like to a firearm. It can't be all my fault. Maybe you fucking got a broken wrist. Take a week out. Rest it a bit if it's not, as you don't want to get surgery on it, just so you know it's not hurting you, it's not really affecting your play, because otherwise shit like this happens.
Well, Mike's got his 500 record again, and you know what that means? It means they're going to absolutely beat the snot out of the Ravens this upcoming weekend so that they can get one above it again. That is your early prediction for upset of the week here. They love doing it. Even if
the way the Ravens are playing.
But this is just like them to have one of their worst performances ever and then to beat the snot out the Ravens. That is exactly what they're going to do. This is like a Venn diagram. You could predict Steelers results just based on Tomlin's records. Like, there's a path to getting there. I mean, I think they'll have more trouble against the Dolphins the week after generally than they will the Ravens this week. But it's Oh, it's just rotten. They're so rotten. And like I said, like I tweeted the other day, if it wasn't for all the Super Bowls that team has won, I might actually feel a little bit sorry for them. Could you imagine having a coach like Tomlin and having to suffer this every single year, just living in purgatory, knowing that you're never going to be good enough, but you're never going to be bad enough either to get the jump start that your franchise needs. You are just going to be mid for the rest of eternity. I can't imagine a worse hell in the league than that, and
Mm.
that's exactly what they've
So,
got to deal with. But they've got God knows how many Super Bowls, so screw you. You can at least think about them.
so what you're describing is a person who is also a fan of Tottenham Hotspur and the England cricket team.
No, the Steelers are competitive. The England cricket team is not. When you get rolled over in 2 days, an NFL game was longer than England's 2 cricketing innings. That is disgusting. So no, no.
I didn't really think in my head I'd be equating Tomlin and Jeff Fisher, but here we are.
There you go.
True.
Honestly, like the league is obsessed with Tomlin. Like 31 other teams will be glad to have him. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. He's living off a Super Bowl with somebody else's team 15 years ago. 9 years without a playoff win. Is in what other discipline or game or sport would that be acceptable? A decade without a single playoff win, and you are still highly regarded, and your seat is completely safe. It just doesn't happen anywhere unless you're a Villa coach and they're not used to winning trophies. So, you could probably do 30 years there of mid records and they'll love you for all time.
I was about to say Miami because what's the stat that they have never won the ACC? But yeah, sure, throw
No,
me
they
some
haven't.
bus.
Well, I've not made an FSU joke today, so
I know.
I've not made any jokes yet. I have a few minutes left.
Two more games to get to. Firstly, Raiders losing away at the LA Chargers. Chargers up to 8-4. Raiders remain with 2 wins, 31-24 in favor of the Chargers. Gino has become Gino of old. We can see that very clearly. Herbert was hurt and Trey Lance had to come in. It looks like Herbert has to have surgery. So what are the Chargers going to be going forward? I know it's a non-throwing hand. I think they're hopeful he won't miss any time, but we'll see. And will it affect him down the stretch? But we are in the mix of a Kamani Vidal breakout season now. And I think that all of you here are going to celebrate that in particular. Vidal on the season is now up to 543 rushing yards so far this season, 4.5 yards a carry. That's pretty excellent considering the fact that he wasn't even second on the depth chart to start the season.
Mm-hmm. The Chargers are going to Charger again. They're going to probably just scrape into the playoffs and then lose instantly in the wild card.
Justin Herbert needs to demand a trade away from the Chargers. He is going the way of Andrew Luck if he stays there much longer. They are going to break him. He just gets injured so many times from all the hits he takes. And at this point, it's not funny. And I know you're missing Slater and Alt, but at the same point, you've not invested in the full 5, and they're just clearly not good enough right now to protect whoever's playing for them. He's taken enough hits. He needs to go somewhere else for his sanity. And again, probably the Chargers are going to deal with it because you look at them now and you're like, are they good? I don't even think fully healthy they can compete with the best in the AFC. So you're kind of like, you're maybe going to have to rebuild this back up a little bit, but he should leave. The Smith pick was funny. The one that went to the sideline and bobbled all over the place and got caught. But the Raiders are stupid. Pete Carroll says he wants to come back next year, and it's like, who does such a terrible job like him, like a literally atrocious job like he does, and wants to come back? The Raiders would be crazy to bring him back next year, but these are the Raiders. They probably will, but It's a disgusting game to have on late. Why the hell was that in a prime time slot? Who wants to watch the Chargers and Raiders in prime time? I don't even think Chargers and Raiders fans want to.
No, rough. A low-key entertaining game to finish things off, though, was Broncos Commanders. Broncos win in overtime 27-26. And if you're wondering how there's only a 1-point difference in overtime, it's because the Commanders also got a touchdown in overtime to pay back the Broncos for it, but they went for the win and did not get the 2-point conversion. Bo Nix continues a bit of a rebound. 29 of 45 for 321, a touchdown and a pick. Didn't get much going on the ground, mind you. RJ Harvey, 13 for 35 and 2 touchdowns. Washington, I thought Mariota was good, not great. 28 of 50, 294, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Got some things going on the ground. Mariota was actually leading rusher between both teams, 10 for 55, but Chris Rodriguez, 11 for 41 and a touchdown. Zach Ertz took over the game, 10 of 13, 106. I mean, you know, low-key, I wasn't looking forward to this game, but it was pretty fucking entertaining. And you know what? Fair play to the Commanders for going out there and going toe-to-toe as a 3-win team with a 9-win Broncos team and taking them the distance.
I will 100% back the team that goes for 2 in overtime and doesn't chicken out and just level it. Go for 2, win the game. If not, then fine. But, you know, just don't take it to overtime next time. But, like I say, it was a very good game and I was very enjoyable. The Broncos are utter frauds this year. I'm going to say that right now. The last 4 games won by combined 10 points. The Chiefs were, 11 and 1 in one score games last year, they said, and now they've regressed to the mean this year. They're 6 and 6, even with a little bit there. Good teams don't win narrow games all the time. And don't get me wrong, this is no offense. Like the Broncos, this is much better than they have been. So this is a new bar for them, but they cannot continue to play football like this. They have to keep getting better. Otherwise, Kansas will have that division title back off them next year before they know it. But I think in terms of their overall record, they're not as good as they appear right now. But you still got to win them. You got to overtime, like us against the Giants. You've got to put these bad teams away, and they found a way to win. And I mean, who's a better success story in the NFL right now than Nick Benito, who's just an absolute superstar? He wins this game for them. Their superstar edge makes the play just like Hutch did in overtime. This is what these guys do, but you know, nobody saw this when he came into the NFL that he was going to be quite this elite, and you know, we always like to see this for players like that. So good on him. But yeah, the Broncos are not as good as they look this year.
Yeah, just goes to show, you know, maybe sometimes due to bet on the undersized edge rusher, bet on the guy's production in college, etc., etc., etc.
Is he Roarofthelionsuk as well?
Exactly. Yeah. Broncos defense elite. Broncos offense not elite. It's easy to say. This is almost rewinding the clock back 11 years for them. Back when they had Peyton Manning and the center and Von Miller as the star edge rusher, going to back-to-back Super Bowls. Bo Nix is not Peyton Manning. He really isn't. So they need to put more around him. I know they've got an okayish run game that's fallen off. The receivers are okay. Like Corn Sutton's good, but he can't just carry a passing game by himself. They need to get Nix more weapons. Plain and simple.
All right, that's all of the weekend's games. Anything else you guys want to say before we sign off?
I don't like, well, I know it's come out since we're doing the podcast. Yeah, I really don't like the comments that Kirby's made in the press, the locker room to the press after practice. Yeah, really does sound like it's a girly injury, and I'm going to have to pick a new favourite player on the team as of next year.
Guess what upset's happening tonight? Patriots are losing.
Don't do that to me. Don't.
Who are they playing? What is it tonight?
Giants, Patriots.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see it. I doubt it, but I can see it. All right. with that, we're going to bring this to a close. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for staying with us for extra time. To Duncan Stewart and Brent DeWitt and Lisa De Lorenzo. And going back a little bit now, Mile Marker, SW Lion, Great Lakes State Guy, Michigan 7872. Broski Bear was in there, although he's had all of his messages deleted by Lisa De Lorenzo. Trippy Gypsy, all the rest of you guys who are commenting on earlier in the show, thank you so much. We appreciate you very, very much. We'll see you later on in the week for the college football show, for the live game on Thursday night, for the recap whenever that happens to be after the event. Hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.